Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to everyone. I'm Rana Zafar Iqbal, your host for today's event. On behalf of PIQS, I would like to thank you all for your kind and valuable presence here. We are conducting the 11th CPD for the construction community of the UAE. This event is being organized by the Professional Institute of Quantity Surveyors under the umbrella of Pakistan Association Dubai, which is abbreviated as PAD. As we all know, CPD refers to the process of tracking, documenting the skills, knowledge, and experience that we gain both formally and informally in our personal and professional life. What is of real importance here is how well we acquire and apply this knowledge to gain extensive recognition in our profession. In today's session, Dr. Sam will guide us why the original BOQ rates often can't be used for pricing variations. Obviously, with reasoning, logic, and examples. So it is going to be an amazing and highly interesting session today. Prior to formal start of the event, I would like to invite two personalities for a brief introduction of PIQS and PAD. First, I would like to request the founding member, the head of committees, the board member, the vice chairman, and a true leader of the PIQS, Mr. Faisal Chaudhary.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to everyone. Today, I would like to take you the brief history of the QSAP, which is around 18 years long, and I will try to cover 1 year in half minute. So, as you know, QSAP was formerly known as QSAP. It's a non-political professional forum for the QS and construction industry. So QSAP, it was established in 2007. It offers a platform on exchange ideas and stay updated on the latest development. We support our members in achieving career excellence through knowledge sharing and best practices. So it was formerly, the reason we changed our name from QSAP to PIQS, because when we went for its registration in Pakistan, so the name which was available and more we consider more appropriate in the context of the global community in the construction industry was the PIQS. So we formally registered with Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan last year. Mr. Laik Hassan, he is the chairman of PIQS. Currently, he is in the KSA. He is the first Pakistani who was appointed as a chair for RICS KSA Advisory Board, and he is serving since Feb 2022. He is the fellow of RICS, and he is a professional QS of Canadian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. I am the vice chair. I work as associate director at ACOM. I am a founder member of PIQS, having 33 years experience in the field of QS and commercial management, and I have invested my professional life in the UAE and Pakistan, working for different contracting and consulting companies. PIQS has been affiliated with a number of association and professional bodies. We were first affiliated with the Pakistan Association Dubai. We signed MOU in 2018. In particularly, I would really like to thank PAD team who basically provided us a legal cover, thereby enabling us to conduct the professional activities in the UAE. We signed MOU with the RICS in 2023. We also signed an MOU with University of Management and Technology, and the idea behind the signing the MOUs with the academic institution was to basically blend the knowledge which we get through the practical life and share that with the students who are going to graduate. We also signed MOU with Association of Muslim Surveyors in the UK in 2023. And last month, we signed MOU with the Rwanda Institute of Quantity Surveyor. So the key idea of signing MOUs with different professional bodies and associations is to collaborate, work together, exchange ideas to bring for the betterment of our profession in the construction industry. So PIQS, we operate with 5 regional core committees which function under the supervision of the board, and we have our presence in the UAE, Qatar, KSA, Oman, and Pakistan. And Pakistan, we are at the moment in the process of building our regional core committee there. So PIQS, we also operate with 7 global committees that function under the supervision of the committee head, who is the vice chair. We have a knowledge delivery committee, which basically manage all the knowledge sharing from the inception until the completion of all the events. We have a talent hunt committee, whose key role is to bring talent on board. We have a IT committee that manage the event, social media, and website. We have an administration committee to manage the all WhatsApp groups of PIQS. We have the career support, who basically support our members to enhance their academic knowledge. That is the academic support committee, and as far as career support committee, end of the day, to enhance our knowledge, then is to support our member in their career progression. And finally is a treasury, who manage the funds of PIQS. So I would like to highlight the key achievement which we completed last year. So first of all, our 10 members, they achieved the professional member of RICS. 5 attained associate membership. 100 plus members, they were last year in the process of RICS APC. 5 attained the professional membership of Canadian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. 100 plus members, they completed their MSc in the QS discipline, and 50 plus members completed BSc in the QS discipline. In terms of carrying out our CPDs, we conducted 4 CPD events, 8 webinars, and there was 20 lectures on the FIDC advanced level course called FIDC Rambo that constitute professional development units of 70 hours. We conducted 70 mock interview sessions for APC aspirants. We posted 300 plus questions, 200 slides, 75 video, and 35 PDF documents related to QS profession on LinkedIn. We delivered webinars and conducted workshops in collaboration with Chartered Institute of Arbitration and Massey University in Saudi, Riyadh, UAE, and Qatar. So this is a recent image of the last 2 months in April and May. We called it RICS APC Aspirant Support Program. So you see here that around 50 professionals, they are from the different professional bodies, different backgrounds, and they supported the candidates who were appeared this last session in RICS. Generally, in addition to our professional programs for the networking, we arrange 8 informal gatherings of community in different regions. We have 12,500 plus followers on our PIQS LinkedIn page, and we have regional community consisting of UAE, KSA, Qatar, Oman, and Pakistan WhatsApp groups. And in addition to that, we are conducting informal session of micro suits on weekly basis. You can visit us on website and the LinkedIn page and YouTube. That is the brief history of the PIQS. Thank you very much for attending to it.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammad Faisal, for amazing intro of PIQS. Now, I would sincerely like to invite Dr. Shahid Zaman to please come on the stage and tell us something about Pakistan Association Dubai. Dr. Shahid Zaman.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, and a very good evening to all of you, more specifically to our guests and the distinguished speakers who will be speaking today in this session. I'll not be taking much of your time, as they have given me, I think, 5 minutes. I'll try to present the briefs about what exactly we are doing and who we are. And I'll be sharing the impact as a community organization, what we are creating in the community. Pakistan Association Dubai, we proudly say that we are the world's largest community organization for overseas Pakistanis, and this is a proud achievement for UAE diaspora of Pakistanis who are living here. Again, we proudly celebrate we are the winner of Guinness World Book Record. Recently, we have achieved this we have taken this initiative under the title of Unity of Hand, and Pakistani community, not only Pakistani community, but across the board from within UAE, we engage with different communities, students, and more specifically the laborers. We created this world record by putting the hands and hand friends. We created a UAE flag by putting 24,514 handprints. Again, we are the proud winners of Dubai Quality Awards consecutively. We have done this in 2022, and then we have done this again in 2024. And we are the only social community organization who is working under the umbrella of CDA, Community Development Authority Dubai, who has done this or who has achieved this Dubai Quality Award. This itself reflects our commitment to work, and we are more committed to the quality. Pakistan Association Dubai, I believe most of you will be aware of the organization itself and who we are, but I believe that some people may be new to the organization. We are actually a social welfare organization. We work with the Community Development Authority that has given us the license, and we do work under their supervision and their guidance. Our main focus is to engage the Pakistani diaspora and the UAE to work together and try to empower our Pakistani community, but not limited to only Pakistani community in the UAE. We are making impact across the board, as I will be sharing with you that we have served the patients around from more than 100 nationalities. Our main focus is socially. We try to engage with the Pakistani community because we believe that we as ambassador of Pakistan can make an impact, can make a positive impact. That is, we try to promote our culture. That is, we try to connect to other cultures, as we believe that Dubai is the best place where we can improve the image of Pakistan at large. And welfare, we believe that is our backbone. We try to engage with other communities, with other charity organizations, and our focus is more specifically to help the needy people from Pakistani diaspora, but not limited to Pakistani diaspora. So I'm sharing this slide with you. You would have it is visible for you. This is the impact and the figures we have done through this 2024 and 2025. Few of our major initiatives were like food cards. This is our regular practice. We do this in Ramadan. This Ramadan we have done this 2,800, and again iftar meals, 1 million iftar meal. It's again a proud achievement for us as a Pakistani community. Financial assistance, and then PMC welfare patients, Eid gift distribution. This year and the last year, this was one of our big events that we have served around 900 families, and we have given them the Eid gifts. And again, individual repatriation and legal support. And prisoner repatriation is one of our major activity. That's we are engaged with this activity throughout the year. This 2024 and 2025 2025. This is the highest ever number we have achieved, 411. This is exactly we are doing in collaboration with Dubai Police. And definitely, of course, we can't move without the support and guidance of Community Development Authority and the distinguished board members of Pakistan Association Dubai. Some other initiatives like Parwarish, this is our one of our major initiative that we have been taking this through this in Pakistan. It's orphanage. Right now we have around 275 orphans there, and we are again proud that we are helping these orphans from UAE. We have our own land and our own building in Sawat. So as we have already discussed, these are the areas of impact we have done. We have already worked on this. As I said, that welfare is our backbone, but our major areas where we are currently engaged are health and education. And health, our milestone project, we have achieved this, and we have started this project in 2020 during the COVID, and we aligned this project with the initiatives and with the slogan of UAE government, that was Year of Tolerance. So we proved that Pakistani living in UAE, we are the most tolerant nation, and we have opened, at that time we opened our doors for all nationalities. Our services will not be limited to only Pakistanis. We will serve all nationalities across the board, and alhamdulillah, the initiatives we have taken in 2020 till today, we have served more than 100 nationalities, patients from more than 100 nationalities. We do have a multi-speciality, we do have around 20 plus specialties. Right now we are working with Pakistan Medical Center. Our major doctors, they are volunteers, again, as we are a volunteer-based organization, but we do have some regular basis doctors also, but around 200, pool of around 200 plus doctors, we are currently working from different specialties. This is the impact from the day we started 2020 until today 2025. Alhamdulillah, the slogan was that it's open for all, and again the slogan was free health for the needy people. So if it is visible from the figures itself that around 60 plus 65, currently we are touching 70% of our total number of patients, they are from welfare. Starting from 2020 until today, it is the number itself speaks that we were more focused, more aligned to the project we launched, and alhamdulillah, today we can proudly say that by the help of Pakistani community, by the help of our donors from our community, and by the help of Community Development Authority, Dubai Health Authority, we are improving, we are growing every other day. Definitely, as a community members from Pakistan, not only from Pakistan, from any other community, we will always welcome whoever wants to contribute, and the support, it is always welcome. About Pakistan Medical Center, our main focus is that it is open for all nationalities, and we do provide health services across the board, free of cost. We do not charge any patient who are in need, and we have a very simple processes in place that those patients from welfare department, they are coming, so we do not compromise on their privacy. So that's how we work in the health sector, and we are more focused now towards the, as we have achieved the milestone in health, so our more focus is now towards the education sector. Again, we will be needing help from our community and all others who wanted to contribute in that specific sector in health as well. In the end, I will conclude by thanking the organizers of the event and the management of the PIQS and for the distinguished guests and speakers who will be speaking. We believe as an organization that we are more powerful. We can create more impact when we work together, especially this year as His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed announced this year as Year of Community. So let's put up together and work for the betterment of the community, and we will work together. Inshallah, we can make impact. We will have a bigger and much positive impacts in future, and if we work together. Pakistan Association Dubai believes in a slogan, together we raise. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shahid Zaman. It was amazing to hear you. The figures are impressive and the contribution is amazing. The facilities, the way you are working, because we have time to time interaction with you and your colleagues. It's so amazing really to be with you, and may God bless you and prosperous you in future more and more, because you are serving the community, which is a noble cause. Thank you so much again. So now we'll move towards the main topic of the day. Today's speaker, Dr. Sam, does not require any sort of introduction. Why? Because he is the construction community guru. So gurus does not require introduction. However, something if I wanted to say, that we all know him as a guru. He is a professor, a doctor, fellow of almost all the institutions, all the professional institutions. It was a huge list, difficult to read. So, other than that, he is a registered arbitrator, adjudicator, a contract specialist, and an expert of the industry with my age of experience. I'm short of words to say anything that could justify his contribution toward the profession. Please give him a big round of applause. Dr. Sam.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good to meet most of you back again in a forum of this nature. Someone said there is no introduction required because most of you know me. You have been at seminars, CPD sessions, training programs of this nature since 2006. That's for 19 years. Today, we are not going to talk about anything new, but we are going to revisit some of those things that we discussed in the past. One of the key root causes of disputes in the construction industry, ladies and gentlemen, are variations. The inability of contract administrators like us to recognize whether a change is a variation or not. There are a lot of disputes in that area. And having recognized that, identified it as a variation, then the inadequate valuation of that. There are a lot of disputes in that area as well. And that's the topic that we are going to discuss today. When a variation is instructed, it's quite common to see one of the parties saying that the existing contract rate prices, they are not applicable to value variations. But unfortunately, our contracts with a FIDIC or any other standard form do not explain in great detail how a rate or price becomes inapplicable. And unfortunately, we are not taught that during our tertiary education as well. And therefore, it is at CPD events, seminars of this nature, that we learn all that. There are hardly any publications, books, articles on internet that we can use. So thank you, PIQS, for organizing seminars of this nature, which disseminate that particular knowledge, which would avoid possible disputes. A recent article that I read said several trillions are spent every year to resolve commercial disputes. Several trillions. Just imagine if we can save a fraction of that. What wonders that we cannot do. In this part of the world, we see luxury, people living in luxury. We at least try to live in luxury, or we live in luxury, but take a flight 2 hours to the east and you see poverty. You see people without a roof to their heads, living on the roadside, eating from bins. So just imagine if that money could be saved, what wonders we cannot do, for instance. So, if there is a way to reduce or save that money at project level, then that would help the local economy and eventually the global economy as well. It would help to save all those money that is spent, or should I say, wasted. And since variations are one of the main root causes, if contract administrators all in the construction industry in this part of the world would administrate them in a professional, competent manner, so that there are no incorrect practices, there won't be disputes. And all that money, which would otherwise have been wasted, could have been saved. So let's see how we value variations correctly. This particular simple question, if you read through, you will see when it comes to the valuation, how complex it would be. In a lump sum contract, all of we know what a lump sum contract is. That is where the work would not be remeasured for payment purpose on completion. We just pay the lump sum contract price to the contractor. In such a contract, let's say the drawing showed 200 meters of boundary wall. And therefore, the contractor's obligation is to construct 200 meters of boundary wall. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, in the bill of quantities, it is shown as 100 meters. It is 200 meters according to the drawing, but the BOQ shows 100 meters. Such errors are quite common in the industry. Either the person who measured made a calculation error, or used the wrong scale perhaps, or measured the length of the property, added to the width of the property, but forgot to multiply by 2 to get the perimeter. So such errors are quite common. And the tenderer priced it at 100 dirhams per meter, 10,000 for the whole boundary wall during the tender stage. He is now our contractor. This particular error, ladies and gentlemen, would not have caused any dispute whatsoever, because the contract is a lump sum contract. So on completion of the works, we are not going to remeasure this boundary wall. The lump sum contract price of 100 million or whatever it is would be paid to the contractor. So this particular error would not have mattered at all, except of course if a variation is instructed touching or concerning this boundary wall. And that's what happened in this particular project. Let's say the employer says, we don't have money, we'll build the boundary wall later. So he gets the engineer to delete the boundary wall from the scope of work. Therefore, the whole of the boundary wall is now deleted from the scope of work, and the contractor completes the project without the boundary wall. Should we still pay the contractor the lump sum contract price of 100 million? Of course not. Something should be deducted, isn't it? And how much should be deducted? And that's where it becomes an issue. There are three options here. The first option is, of course, a contractor's option. The contractor would say, take out the whole of the 100 meters from the bill of quantities and price it at 100 dirhams and deduct 10,000 dirhams from the lump sum contract price of 100 million. That is his choice, option. But the employer would argue, Mr. Contractor, I did not ask you to omit 100 meters of boundary wall. I asked you to omit the whole of the boundary wall. And if you constructed the whole of the boundary wall, you would have constructed 200 meters. And therefore 200 meters should be omitted. And he's right. And the employer would also argue now, we signed and agreed in the contract that the contract rates prices would be used to value variations. And he's right once again. And therefore the employer now wants the 200 meters of boundary wall priced at 100 dirhams a meter, 20,000. 20,000. Saving. Who is right and who is wrong? And that's how disputes start. If by any chance the contractor now wants to argue, Mr. Employer, if you don't want to use the 100 meters quantity, if you want to use 200 meters quantity, then my rate is inapplicable. I want a varied rate of 50 so that he can go back to his original amount of 10,000. Can you argue that the existing rate is inapplicable to value an omission of the original scope of work for which the contractor has already quoted 100 dirhams in the contract? For additional work, yes, there are many arguments to say that the rate is inapplicable. We are going to see 1 dozen of it today. For example, let's say in a construction contract, there is an excavation item, excavation for trenches, where the rate is 12 dirhams a cubic meter. When the engineer instructs some additional excavation in one corner of the site, the contractor would say, sorry, Mr. Engineer, I can't do it for the 12 dirhams in the contract. I want a varied rate. I want more money per meter of that trench. Why? Because my 12 dirhams per square meter is for machine dig. To bring my JCB, I continuously dig the trench. I can do it for 12 dirhams a cubic meter. But here in this particular corner of the site, where you need just 5 cubic meters of excavation to be done, I can't bring my JCB there. There are dwellings, there are boundary walls. So I have to do manual digging. And since it is deep, I'll have to have staging and 2 men to throw it up. And therefore, I can't do it for 12 dirhams. I want 18 dirhams, for instance. There you are. The existing BOQ rate became inapplicable to value this simple variation. Why? Because the nature circumstances under which that additional work is to be done is different to the nature circumstances under which the original scope of work was to be done as priced in the contract. So that's one way existing rates and prices become inapplicable. And if it is additional work, you can also argue that on economies of scale, the rate is inapplicable. What is economies of scale? Let's look at an example. Let's say in a roads project, there is 100,000 cubic meters of fill, embankment fill, which the contractor has priced at 8 dirhams a cubic meter. When the engineer wants some small quantity of fill somewhere on the site, say 5 cubic meters, contractor can argue that he can't do it for 8 dirhams a cubic meter, he wants more money. And what would be his reasoning? He would say that 8 dirhams a cubic meter is to bring this bulk fill in 24-wheel loaders and dump it and roll it in one go, compact it. I mobilize my team once and demobilize it after doing 100,000 cubic meters. So per cubic meter, mobilization, demobilization cost is minimum. But to do this 5 cubic meters of fill in this corner of the site, my truck has to come half empty to start with. Therefore, my transport cost is more per cubic meter. And I have to mobilize a team and demobilize it after doing 5 cubic meters. So per cubic meter, my mobilization, demobilization cost is more. And therefore, I can do it for the contract rate of 8 dirhams a cubic meter. And that's economies of scale. Larger quantities attract small rates, and small quantities attract larger rates. There you are. But that is all additional work. And there are many other arguments which we are going to look at today. But this is not additional work. This is the original scope of work that the contractor has already priced, the tender has priced during the tender stage, for which he has already stated in the contract 100 dirhams. Can he now argue that it is inapplicable? Let's see. Let's go and see how we value variations first, and then come back to this question and see whether we have an answer, whether option 1, 2, or 3 is the right answer. And probably I will ask you to vote on that. And we'll say, by the way, how many do we have in the audience? We had some 10 tables with 10 chairs each, so probably about 100. Oh, good. 120 or so, yeah, right. So we'll have to get a head count when the voting starts, we'll see. How do we value variations? According to FIDIC, Old Red Book, for instance, we have got subclause 52.1. There are 5 ways that we value variations. First one is using the existing rates and prices. There you are. Let's call it method A. Using the existing rates and prices. Set out in the contract. In the bill of quantities, there are rates and prices. We use that. But that is only if the engineer forms an opinion that they are applicable. If in the opinion of the engineer, the same shall be applicable only. If they are not applicable, do we now jump into a new rate? No, of course not. There's a second step that you have to follow in sequence, which is to use them as the basis. If the contract does not contain any rates or prices applicable to the varied work, the rates and prices in the contract shall be used as the basis for the valuation. How do we use the existing rates as the basis? We are very good at prorating, right? Prorating can only be done in special circumstances, not always. So if we have got a roads project which has got, say, 50 millimeter thick bearing course, and there is a square meter rate. When the engineer changes the thickness of the bearing course from 50 millimeter to 60 millimeter, what do we commonly do? We take the square meter rate, divide by 50 and multiply by 60, right? We prorate it. Of course, we can't do that. The material content of the bearing course, the asphalt, yes, the cost increased from 50 to 60. Did the cost of the plant, equipment, laying it, did that cost increase in the proportion of 50 to 60? Of course not. It is still laid in the same go. It is compacted in the same go. And therefore, you can't prorate the whole rate. So how do you use it as the basis as stated in FIDIC? You split the existing rate into its component parts: material, labor, equipment, contractors' risk factors, head office overheads, profit. From this, you change only the affected one. In this particular rate, only the material content. You change from 50 to 60. All the others remain the same. That's the second method of valuing variations. Either using the existing rate or using them as the basis. If they cannot be used as the basis, that's the only time you go and prepare a new rate, which says here, failing which. So this word failing which, tells us that we should follow this sequence. First use them as a, and then use them as the basis, failing which you can agree on a suitable rate. How do you work out this suitable rate? There are two ways to work out this suitable rate. Either the parties agree to keep a record of the cost that goes into it, material, labor, equipment, and then price it. Well, to do that, you'll have to wait until the varied work is completed. You can agree on a new rate even before the work is started. How do you do that? Well, there is an international norm for every activity in the construction industry, in the oil and gas, in the MEP trade, the fit-out trade, or the landscaping. For a cubic meter of concrete, for instance, of grade 30, the norm would say, per cubic meter, there is so many kilograms of cement, so many cubic meters of sand, aggregate, water, mixing hours, etc., to which you apply the current market prices. There you are. You agreed to a suitable new rate. Failing which, if the parties cannot agree on this, then we come to the fourth method, where the engineer shall fix this particular rate. There is a fifth one, which is not stated here, that is to value it on the basis of day works, but that is only if the engineer instructs the variation to be done on a day work basis, you value it. So these are the typical four methods of valuing a variation. So you can use the existing BOQ rate only if, in the opinion of the engineer, the same shall be applicable. There you go. That's the only time you can use the existing rate. Now, probably we'll have an answer to our question. There you go. Before I ask you to vote on which one is the correct option, I do not want to lead you to a trap. I'll tell you that the first answer is not an option at all. You can't use it. It's an incorrect answer. Why is it an incorrect answer? In a lump sum contract, ladies and gentlemen, you never use the BOQ rate, BOQ quantity for any purpose whatsoever. You never use it to prepare the contractor's Clause 14 program. You never use it to procure material for the work to be done. You never use it to value the work for the purpose of interim valuations, and you never use it to value variations. For all purposes, you use the actual quantity from the drawings in a lump sum contract. And since in the first option, the BOQ quantity has been used to value the variation, it is an incorrect answer. In the next two, the correct quantity has been used. In one, the answer is 20,000 saving when the boundary wall is omitted. In the other, 10,000 saving. Let's see a few hands who say 20,000 saving is the right price by using the BOQ rate, saying that it is applicable. 20,000 is the saving. Let's see a few hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. 9 of you say 20,000 should be the valuation of this omission. All of you are, of course, employers, contract administrators, right? Because you want 20,000 saving. All right, let's see the contractors, contract administrators now. 10,000 is the right answer. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18. So a lot of contractors, contract administrators here. Someone said there is 120 in this audience. So that was 7 plus 18, only 25. So there are a lot of you on the fence, right? Or probably you think the same way that I am thinking. Either of these could be the right answer, depending on the circumstances. If I said at least the first option and the last option could be the right answers, at least the bottom line figure is the same. How can 20,000 or 10,000 could be the right answer? I said, depending on the circumstances. What circumstances? If the employers, contract administrators, the 7 of you, could successfully argue that the existing rate is applicable to value this variation, then 20,000 is the right answer. But if the 18 of you who are the contractors, contract administrators, could successfully argue that the existing BOQ rate is inapplicable, and therefore you are entitled to a varied rate of 50, then 10,000 is the right answer. Now, how do you argue, ladies and gentlemen, in a lump sum contract, the existing BOQ rate is either applicable or inapplicable to value and omission? For that purpose, you need to know everything there is to know about lump sum type contracts. So let us spend 3 minutes on lump sum contracts. There are 3 types of lump sum contracts in the industry. In the first one, the contractors or tenderers are given a set of drawings and specifications to submit the tender. No bill of quantities is produced. And that's how ideally you should invite tenders for lump sum contracts. You don't give a bill of quantities to the contractor. Let him prepare it and let him calculate it. Drawings and specifications are there. His obligation is to construct the work according to the drawings and specifications. Let him work out the price. But how do you value variations then if there is no bill of quantities? Well, he is given a schedule of rates. And that's how you ideally invite tenders for a lump sum contract, as been done in the UK and some parts of Europe, for instance, with a schedule of rates. That's the first type. In the second and the third type of lump sum procurement, ladies and gentlemen, the tenderers are given the drawings and the specifications and a bill of quantities as well. This would start creating problems now. In the first category of the bill of quantity type of lump sum contracts, there is a place in the bill of quantities for tenderers to price an adjustment item, to adjust an error or inadequacy under recovery due to an incorrect quantity. The drawings quantity is not the one that is in the BOQ. There is an error. So that could be priced into this adjustment item. Or if an item is missing altogether in the bill of quantities, tenderer can price an item into that. Quite common in Australasia and some parts of UK again, this type of lump sum procurement. In the last type of lump sum procurement, the tenderers are given drawings and specifications and a bill of quantities, but unfortunately, the bill of quantities does not have a place for a tenderer to price an adjustment item, to correct the errors in quantities or missing items and things like that. No provision. Quite common in this part of the world. So how would the tenderer price these 3 types of lump sum tenders, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the first thing that you do in the tenderer's estimation department is, on receipt of the tender documents, for the team to work out the actual quantity. Because you can't depend on the BOQ quantity. It may be wrong. You can't price it. So you'll have to work out. So you check the given quantity. So a taker of a quantity survey who is measuring from drawings, a taker of will measure using the correct scale, using the correct calculations, the correct quantity, and put it there for his calculation. 200 meters. Now an estimator who builds up rates prices would now price per meter how much it would cost, or takes it from his current price library, or current market price, and put it as 50. Now the tender compiler would multiply these two together and would say, therefore, for this boundary wall, 10,000. And he has to go now. And likewise, the team would price each and every item in this project, add them together, and would come to the 100 million lump sum contract price. Now this has to be conveyed to the client, employer. So there is a form of tender. In that you say, Mr. Employer, we'll construct your project for 100 million, and you put your signature. And you are about to submit this, you read through the instructions to tenderers, which would say, when you return this form of tender, with that you'll have to return the drawings, stamped, initialed, specifications, stamped and initialed, and the schedule of rates priced. This is the category A, the first type of lump sum tenders, let's say. And this is what the schedule of rates looks like. Boundary wall, there is no quantity, but there is a unit. And the tenderer has to put a rate here. What rate would the tenderer put here, ladies and gentlemen? Can the tenderer assume, for instance, this particular employer, developer, does not have much money, he's cash strapped. We know in his previous project, he de-scoped a lot of work from the previous contractors. That could happen to our project as well. And therefore, let us not put here 50 per meter, let's put here 10 dirhams per meter. So that when the boundary wall, and boundary wall is one possible item that would be deleted, omitted. And therefore, it would be valued at 10 dirhams. Can you take such a risk, ladies and gentlemen, and put 10 dirhams? Of course not. What, instead of 200 meters, some additional boundary walls are instructed. They would be valued at 10 dirhams, isn't it? And therefore, you can't afford to take that risk. Or can you assume that, well, in the drawings, if you look at, boundary wall is shown on two sides of the property. Very likely during the progress of the works, boundary wall would be instructed for the other two sides as well. Therefore, let us put 150 dirhams a meter for the boundary wall, so that we'll get paid at 150 dirhams. Can you assume that particular risk? Of course not. Why? Because if the boundary wall is omitted now, the existing boundary wall, it would be valued at 150 dirhams a meter. Therefore, no company, tenderer, with any business sense, would put in any other rate in the schedule of rates other than what he exactly used in the building up of his prices of the tender. And therefore, he would put 50 there. Nothing else. Now let's go to the second category of lump sum tenders, where a bill of quantities has been given and the quantity is incorrect, but doesn't matter. There is a place for the adjustment item to correct the error. What rate would you put here? For the same arguments that we discussed earlier. No other rate other than what is used in the tender price build-up, 50. But we have an issue now. The boundary wall would now show in your bill of quantities as 5,000 dirhams. But you need 10,000 for it. No worries, there is a place to put the other 5,000. There you are. In both these types of lump sum contracts, ladies and gentlemen, you can never argue that the existing BOQ rate is inapplicable to value an omission of the original scope of work. The rate is always applicable. And therefore, the 7 of you who said 20,000 is right, are right if our contract where this boundary wall issue comes up is of category A or category B type of lump sum procurement. Then 20,000 is the right answer. Why? Because the rate in our BOQ was 100, actual quantity is 200, 20,000 is the right answer. In these types of lump sum contracts, ladies and gentlemen, the rate is also always applicable to value additional work, subject to, of course, the arguments like nature, circumstances, and economies of scale, etc., and other reasons that we are going to look at in a little while. Now we come to the third category of lump sum contracts. There is a bill of quantities issued. There is no, the quantity is in error, but there is no place for the tenderer to price an adjustment item. What can the tenderer do now? Of course, he has to bring this to the attention of the consultants and the client and say your quantity is wrong. That is, if you detect it early enough, because you have to probably submit your tender queries, say 2 weeks or 10 days prior to closing of the tenders. But what if you detect it only at the last moment? Your pricing, it is 200 meters, BOQ says 100. What can you do now? You have no option. You have to put this bottom line figure of 10,000 that you want for the boundary wall in the only item in the bill of quantities for a boundary wall, which is this item, as the 10,000 that you need. Otherwise, your BOQ total will not come to 100 million. The moment you put this 10,000 there, it's a one-way journey, ladies and gentlemen, no turning back. What results in is an inapplicable, inappropriate, incorrect, arbitrary rate of 100 dirhams per meter, which has no relationship whatsoever with the rate that was used for the valuation of tender or what is a reasonable or fair rate. As long as no variations are instructed, fine. No issue. Contractor would complete the project, he would get his 100 million lump sum contract price paid, but every time 1 meter of boundary wall is omitted, 1 meter of boundary wall is omitted, the contractor would shout, Mr. Engineer, my rate is inapplicable. Why? Because your quantity was incorrect and I was not given a place to price the error. Therefore, I had to price it within the item by putting an inapplicable, inappropriate rate. There you are. Therefore, I'm entitled to have that rate varied to a new rate, which should be the 10,000 divided by the 200 meters in the drawings, 50 dirhams per meter. So the 18 of you who said 10,000 is the right valuation for this variation are right, if our lump sum contract was procured on method C, without a place for the adjustment item. And when additional work is instructed on category C type of lump sum procurement, of course the contractor would keep quiet. Why? Because he wants to get paid at 100 dirhams a meter for the additional boundary walls, right? But at this moment in time, the engineer should be vigilant. In fairness to the employer, he should now tell the contractor, I'm instructing additional boundary walls, but I'm not going to pay you 100 dirhams a meter because it is inapplicable because of this error in the quantity. But how do we now argue? Without citing a provision in the contract, the rate is inapplicable to value this. You have to argue under some provision in the contract, and for that purpose, FIDIC has provided the second subclause of clause 52, which is the valuations clause, of which 52.1 we had a look at just now. So let us look at 52.2, which says, ladies and gentlemen, if an existing rate is inappropriate or inapplicable, there you are. The contractor can give a notice to the engineer under 52.2a and ask for a varied rate or price when the boundary wall is omitted or part of the boundary wall is omitted. And likewise, when additional work is instructed, engineer would give a notice under paragraph B of 52.3 by the engineer to the contractor of his intention to change the price. So therefore, contract has provisions to vary these rates and prices when they are inappropriate or inapplicable. It is under 52.2 paragraph A that the contractor would now ask for his existing rate to be reduced from 100 to 50. So there is provision in the contract. And there is also the same subclause and the contractual provision, pursuant to which you will say, when you are asked to excavate, hand excavation somewhere in the corner, that your rate is inapplicable, you want a higher rate, because the words here, provided that if the amount or nature, if the nature or amount of any varied work, nature or amount. So if the nature is such that the rate becomes inapplicable, you ask for a new rate under the same subclause. And the amount, this is where the economies of scale comes in, come in, ladies and gentlemen. Larger quantities attract lower rates and small quantities higher rates. The amount in the original scope of work compared to the amount to be done in the variation makes the existing rate inapplicable. So, without going any further, let us summarize 3 of the 1 dozen of the ways how rates and prices become inapplicable, ladies and gentlemen. First, economies of scale, larger quantities attract lower rates and vice versa. And varied work being carried out under different circumstances, machine dig versus hand dig. Work is still excavation of a trench, but the way you do it is different. Therefore, the rate varies. And the third one, in lump sum contracts, lump sum tender documents, lump sum type tender documents, not providing in the bill of quantities a place for tenderers to price an adjustment item to correct the error. Lack of provision in a BOQ makes the rate inapplicable. 3 out of the 1 dozen. We look at the other 9 in a little while. This was probably nothing new to most of you. All of you are probably familiar with it. I can see a lot of familiar faces in this audience. You have attended our training programs and you remember this particular training program. So what we discussed just now is the tip of an iceberg of very vast knowledge you need to know about valuation of variations, the 10-session course which most of you attended, of which the first one was variations and valuation of variations. And during that session, you may recall, we looked at the actual variations clause, 51.1 in the old red book, or for instance in the new red book, we'll come to that later. And we discussed, ladies and gentlemen, that it is not anything and everything that an engineer can instruct as a variation. Only things which are necessary or appropriate. We discussed that in great detail. In a 1.5 hour or 90-minute CPD session, we cannot cover all that. That was a 25-hour program. So we had enough time to discuss that. But remember, engineer can instruct only if the change is necessary or appropriate. Necessary or appropriate for what? To complete the works, of course. To complete the works. If it is not necessary, not appropriate, then you can't instruct it. So all these increases, decreases of quantities and omissions and changes of quality and all these things, further changes of timing, sequence, can be done only if it is necessary or appropriate. But when it comes to additional work, ladies and gentlemen, it has been further qualified to necessity only. So the engineer cannot even say it is the appropriate thing to do when it is not necessary. Whereas all the others, yes, he can say it is the appropriate thing to do to stop wastage of money, to conserve resources. So instead of the employer doing it twice after the contractor completes and goes away, let's make the change now. All that the engineer could have said under the appropriateness provision. But when it is additional work, it has to be necessary to complete the works. And this is for the protection of a contractor. Otherwise, what would happen? Let's look at an example. Let's take a 200-bedroom hotel. In each of the bedrooms, there is a ceiling light, or rather 2 ceiling lights in each room. Contract has priced them at 500 dirhams a light, that is 1,000 dirhams for the 2 lights. Therefore, 200,000 dirhams in the whole of the 200 bedrooms, the 400 lights. In one of the bedrooms, in addition to the 2 ceiling lights, there is a fantastic projection lantern in the corner of the ceiling, which is electronically controlled, remotely operated, with a sophisticated lens arrangement, which throws some psychedelic light on the wall. Fantastic lantern, only in one room. And during the tender stage, the tenderer would try to find the price for this particular lantern. He can't find it. He can't find where to get such a lantern. So what would he do? He would price the 2 lights at 500 dirhams each, and this lantern he will put 1,000 dirhams. If it is a little more, even doesn't matter, he can absorb that. During the post-contract stage, when he has got all the details of this particular lantern, he finds the supplier. And he finds this particular lantern would cost him 25,000 dirhams. Of course, he can't ask for more money from the employer. That is his risk that he priced it incorrectly. So he'll have to absorb his 24,000 loss somewhere. But when the employer and the engineer see this particular fantastic lantern for 1,000 dirhams in the price bill of quantities, they would probably wonder, why not instruct one in each of the rooms? 199 more lanterns. Let us instruct as a variation. The poor contractor would go bankrupt, isn't it? At 1,000 dirhams if you try to pay for that. To protect the contractor, this particular provision is there. It can be instructed, this additional work, it can be instructed only if it is necessary. Is it necessary to complete the works, ladies and gentlemen? Of course not. The works can be completed with 1 projection lantern. So it is, this particular provision is made by FIDIC to protect contractors who have got unworkable, unprofitable, or erroneous rates in the BOQ. If the work is not necessary, then engineer cannot instruct it. Of course, the contractor would first object to it, say, Mr. Engineer, you don't have the authority to instruct it, but we don't mind doing it. If you want 199 more, we'll do that, but this is our price, 25,000 each. There you are, a 4th way how an existing rate becomes inapplicable, the 1,000. Instructing things which are neither necessary nor appropriate to complete the works. In our projects, we see many things being instructed which are neither necessary nor appropriate. And when that happens, rates become inapplicable, inappropriate. Contractors can ask for varied rates or prices. There you are. That's the 4th one. And during that same first session of the SCA course that most of you attended, we also discussed the timing of the instructions. Has the engineer got authority to instruct variations during the defects liability period or defects notification period? Under the old red book, some changes, yes, limited to few things. We discussed this under 49.2. It says, the contractor shall execute such work of amendment, reconstruction, or repetitive defect shrinkages. The engineer instruct the contractor to do during the defects liability period or within 14 days thereafter. So it is limited things of this nature for which the contractor is not responsible. Defects due to design fault, defects due to the occupants damaging things or shrinkages, that sort of thing. So very limited things. You can't, for instance, during the defects liability period, instruct a swimming pool to be built in a villa project where there was no swimming pool. You cannot instruct. The engineer does not have authority. There you are. A 5th way how rates and prices become inapplicable. when you instruct things beyond the period within which the engineer has the authority to instruct. Instructing variations after the works is taken over, except those in 49.2 that we read just now. Those he can. Anything else, he cannot. He does not have authority. So regarding variations itself, there are 5 different ways in the valuation of variations that rates and prices can become inapplicable. And these are those 5. Then you may recall that we discussed during the second session of this SCA course about extension of time, prolongation cost. How do we value what is to be paid to the contractor as prolongation cost? How can the contractor prepare his claim and show where he has the entitlement to this prolongation cost? Old FIDIC Red Book as well as the new FIDIC Red Book, both have got provisions. In the old one, some 21 different subclauses, and in the new Red Book, some 29 different subclauses clearly state that if the employer delays the project, or a third party delays the project, or a climatic or various other circumstances delay the project, then contractor shall be entitled to extension of time and cost. The word cost appears. Under that, contractor can claim. But unfortunately, when it comes to variations, in subclause 51.1, for instance, it does not say contractor shall be given his extension of time or prolongation costs. But in these, yes, in all these clauses, the cost entitlement is mentioned, but not when it comes to variations. So how can we claim the prolongation costs when a variation delays the project? Where does the contractor's entitlement exist under the provisions of the contract when a variation delays the project? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is under subclause 52.2. So the contractor would now tell the engineer, Mr. Engineer, because of the varied work that you instructed, a price contained in my contract has been rendered inappropriate, inapplicable. Please give me a varied price. What price? The price for performance security in the preliminaries bill. That is only for 1 year. Now we are on site for 1.5 years. And therefore I have to extend it, I'll have to pay more money. There you go. The price for the insurance, that is for a certain period. Now you want us to stay longer, you have extended the time, so change that price. The price for supervision, that is for 12 months. Now we are there for 18 months, change it. So you ask for it as, so you claim your prolongation cost as a varied price. It's not always that we have got preliminaries bills in a bill of quantities. In some projects like the MEP projects, we have line item bills, no preliminaries bill, only the work items are there. In a bill of quantities where there is no preliminaries bill part, how would the tenderer price the cost of the performance security or the insurance or the supervision, for instance? The tenderers would spread all that over all the rates for the work items, isn't it? So when a variation delays the project, the contractor would now tell the engineer, Mr. Engineer, you instructed variations, and as a result, my rates in the BOQ were rendered inappropriate, inapplicable. Please give me a varied rate. And that's how you claim prolongation cost when a variation delays the project. So if you use the existing BOQ rates and prices as the vehicle to value prolongation cost, then when a variation delays the project, then the existing rate price become inapplicable. because the price for the performance security has become inapplicable. You're asking for a higher price now, or more money. There you are. That's the sixth way how rates and prices become inapplicable. Where rates, prices become the vehicle for paying prolongation costs. You don't have a whiteboard, right? Okay. During the 8th session, you may remember, during the project cost control, do we have a whiteboard? No. Yeah, please. We looked at all the control mechanisms, how the time is to be controlled by using the closed 14 program, how the quality is to be controlled by using the documents like the specifications, and how the cost is controlled by using the price bill of quantities. And we looked at the purpose of a price bill of quantity. And the purpose of a price bill of quantities, for instance, is clearly stated in a method of measurement like SESAM 3, for instance, which would say, yes, it is for tenderers to price the tender accurately, efficiently. That's why you need an accurate and efficient bill of quantities. But B is that cost control mechanism. When a contract has been entered into to provide for use of the price bill of quantities in the valuation of work executed, we should be able to use the bill of quantities and its rates and prices to value the work executed. If you can't use it, then the purpose, objects of the bill of quantities is lost. And therefore, the BOQ has to be prepared in a specific manner to achieve this requirement. You have to distinguish between items of work of different nature and between work of same nature but having different cost considerations. Otherwise, the rate becomes inapplicable. Eventually, when the whiteboard comes here, I'll do one simple worked example and show you how the rate becomes inapplicable. But let's proceed. And also, when there are no items in your bill of quantities to separate costs which are not proportional to quantities, your rates, prices become inapplicable. So these are two other ways rates and prices become inapplicable. If your bill of quantities are not prepared in the manner that a method of measurement like SESAM 3, for instance, advises you to do. So there you are. Single item in BOQ for several circumstances requiring average rates or prices make the rate inapplicable. Contractor can ask for a new rate. And also, lack of provision in the bill of quantities to separate costs not proportional to quantities. Both these we will look at a worked example in a little while when the whiteboard comes. After all, we are in a school, are we? There should be enough whiteboards or blackboards available. Another way that rates and prices become inapplicable, ladies and gentlemen, is when the market prices of labor, material, equipment, etc. fluctuate, go up or down, as well as when there is government legislation changes. In this part of the world, most of our contracts are made firm price, fixed price contracts by passing the risk of fluctuations to the contractor. So the tenderer's price, all that. So if the price of steel is going up in the market, contractor cannot ask for the increase to be compensated because it is a fixed price, firm price contract. But the typical original native wording in a FIDIC contract clearly state that the contract is entitled to compensation when prices of material go up in the market. If so, now you find that when variations are instructed, the existing BOQ rate is inapplicable to value the variation because at this moment in time, steel is of a different price. Therefore, a new rate has to be worked up. And likewise, if legislation has changed, The minimum labor wages have been changed to be paid. And during COVID time, we saw as well changes in legislation made rates and prices inapplicable. So there are two ways it happens. One, when a variation is instructed, existing rate is inapplicable because the price, market price of material, labor, and equipment are different now to the time when they were priced during the tender stage. And two, even in a firm price, fixed price contract, where the risk is passed to the contractor, it is not forever that the contractor has the obligation to hold them fixed and firm. After a certain date, that obligation ends, usually at the end of the time for completion. And then when variations are instructed, contractor can still ask for varied rates or prices. There you are. So the fluctuation of labor, materials, and other costs make the existing rates inapplicable. You can ask for new rates. And instructing variations beyond the fixed firm price duration make the rates inapplicable. You can ask for new rates. With that, we come back to 52.2. 52.2 is the clause mostly under which there is provision for a contractor to ask for these varied rates or prices. Where there is a cost under recovery, contractor can say the existing rate is inapplicable. Not only to value the variation, sometimes to value the existing original scope of work, you can say the rates and prices are inapplicable. Let us look at an example. Let's take a project which has got 10 street lamp posts. And the contractor has priced them at, say, 10,000 dirhams each, 10 street lamp posts. During the post-contract stage, if the engineer omits one, and the contractor has to do only the balance 9 now, he can say he can't do the balance 9 at the BOQ rate of 10,000. He wants more money for each one. Why? Because he planned to bring all 10 to the site in a low loader, traveling from the factory to his site one whole day. Therefore, the cost of the low loader for one day he divided by 10 and put 1/10 of that cost as the delivery charges into the rate. He planned to bring one mobile crane to the site to work one whole day to erect all 10 street lamp posts. And therefore, he divided that cost by 10 and put 1/10 of that as the erection cost into the rate. If the engineer omits 1 and asks the contractor to do only 9 and pay only for 9 in a remeasurement type contract, contractor can say, you are now paying me 9/10 of the transport cost of these street lamp posts and 9/10 of the erection cost of these street lamp posts. Other 1/10 and 1/10, I under recover. Therefore, I can't do it for 10,000. You pay me back my under recovery cost as well, and therefore give me 12.5% more on that rate or whatever it is. After demonstrating what that calculation is, he would do that. There you are. Rates and prices become inapplicable when there is a cost under recovery due to an instructed variation. Didn't we? That is the summary. All right, we'll come to that summary in a little while. Let's go and do the two things that we mentioned previously. Let's look at the look at the pipeline, ladies and gentlemen. from point A to point B. Which up to a point C here runs through the desert, 800 meters. This is a 1 kilometer pipeline. And the balance 200 meters runs through a township. Without following the instruction in the method of measurement that we read just now, let's say a QS would prepare the bill of quantities for this pipeline, 1000 meters from point A to point B as one item, pipeline A to B, 1000 meters. How would the tenderer price this? There is a cost. There is a cost consideration in each of these sectors of the pipeline. In the desert, ladies and gentlemen, the contractor can use any equipment, any size diggers he has got. The boom size does not matter. Big, small, whatever it is. But when you are working in the township, there are restrictions, dwellings, boundary walls. You have to bring special size equipment. He may not have it, he will have to get it on external plant hire. So it is costly when it is in a township. In the desert, the contractor does not have to protect the foundation. There is no one to fall into that. In the township, there are children playing around. So you have to provide protection, lighting in the night, so that no one will fall into that. So therefore, it is costly to construct it in the township. In the desert, you can excavate and spoil heap the excavated earth by the side of the trench and wait until the pipe is laid and then backfill it. In the township, you can't do that. Every day, you'll have to remove the excavated material and bring it back when you want to backfill it. So there is double handling. So it is costly to work in the township, but you are laying the same pipeline in same size trench at different locations. The different cost considerations. So let's say it costs the contractor 100 dirhams a meter to construct it in the desert, and therefore a total cost of 80,000. And it cost the contractor 200 dirhams per meter in the township, and therefore 40,000. In total, if it costs the contractor 120,000 for the whole pipeline, since he has only one item, what would he do? He would put the 120,000 as the amount for this item. And the moment he does that, the rate becomes 120 per meter. It is 120 per meter. Every time 1 meter of additional pipeline is instructed at this end, contractor would say, my rate is inapplicable. And he's right, because it cost him 200 dirhams per meter to do the pipeline at this end. So the rate became inapplicable. And every time 1 meter of additional pipeline is instructed at this end, of course, the contractor would keep quiet. Why? Because he wants to get paid at 120. At that moment in time, the engineer should be vigilant, in fairness to the employer, to say, I'm not going to pay you 120, I'll pay you less. But you don't have to do any of this if you used a method of measurement like SESAM 3 or 4 to measure your bill of quantities and prepare it. Because you don't measure it as two separate items, and you measure it as two separate items, not as a single item. Pipeline A to C, 800 meters, and pipeline C to B, 200 meters, so that the contractor can put his two separate rates, 100 here, 200 here, and that is his 80 and the 40, the 120. So every time there is a variation instructed at this end, there is a rate. Every time there is a variation instructed at this end, there is a rate. If you do not separate, then rates become inapplicable. Thank you. During the 7th session of the 25-hour SCA course, you may recall that I know some of you all have been here for nearly 25 years, just like me. It was about 19 years ago we started our training programs, and that was before the next to the business pay, the what center that is called? Al Futtaim Training Center was there. That is where we had our training sessions, and Mr. Chowdhury and all of them, I could remember, they used to attend those trainings. And we looked at how contracts are to be drafted under some 8 heads and the basic elements that should be present. And we looked at the terminology from contract law, and we came to the conclusion that if any one or more of these basic elements are missing, then the contract does not form. But it does not mean that the contractor should not be paid for any work he has done, if instructed by the engineer, the employer, for the contractor to do the work, it has to be paid for. But since there is no contract, it would be on the basis of a virtual contract that formed, which is called a quasi-contract, and the payment would be made in quantum merit, which is a fair valuation. And therefore, when you make a payment in quantum merit, the whole bill of quantities is out of the window. You prepare all new rates and prices for the whole of the works again. There you are. All the rates and prices became inapplicable because the contract did not form, because these elements were missing. Or you are working on the strength of a LOI, letter of intent, and the actual contract is not signed. Eventually, if the contract is never signed and the project is abandoned halfway through, for the work that the contract has completed, you pay in quantum merit using fair valuation, new rates and prices altogether. All the existing rates and prices became inapplicable. And that is the 12th way. And the one before that is the necessity to restore an under-recovery when an omission is instructed, is the under-recovery of the transport cost and erection cost of the street lamp post due to the omission of one. And the one before that is the instructing variations beyond the fixed time. We discussed them. Lack of provision in the oil. There you are. Single item in BOQ for several circumstances requiring average rate or price that we saw for that particular pipeline. With that, ladies and gentlemen, rest on the same discussion will continue on the basis of questions and answers on what we discussed so far, or even more than that, or any questions that you have got on the same topic or any other topic. Thank you.
For making difficult thing easy for us. We've been struggling with this particular situation, and today it was amazing to seeing it becoming easy with your explanation. This is called experience. This is called when you are guru, you teach the way. This is the way actually. Now I would like to tell you, we can ask any question in our mind. The mic will be given to you. The mic man is there in the middle. You please raise your hand and you can ask your question. We can have we have the privilege that Dr. Sam is here, so you ask any question you want.
Thank you. Just can you go to the previous slide? Yeah, I wanted to ask what is the difference between the serial number 5 and serial number 10?
Instructive variations after the work is taken over. um, no variations can be instructed after the work is taken over, ideally, that is. In the new Red Book, for instance, it clearly states that after the taking over certificate is issued, no variations can be instructed. But under the old Red Book, it is not stated, but it is understood to be that. And therefore, if any variation is instructed after the work is taken over, it cannot be priced using the existing rates and prices. The contract is entitled to have varied rates or prices to be used. That is clear to you, right? Yes. Number 10 is instructing variations beyond the fixed firm price duration. For the previous one, what would happen is, if work is instructed, there would be, under number 5, contractor may have to mobilize, demobilize, because his resources are already demobilized from site. So if variations are instructed, he may have to mobilize, demobilize. So that cost would come into the rates now, and that is why the rates are inapplicable. Under item 10, it is the price fluctuation. There is a time when the contractor's obligation to hold all the rates and prices to be fixed and firm expire. After that date, if variation is instructed, contractor can say steel prices are different now, therefore my existing BOQ rate is inapplicable, because that took into consideration an average steel price rate from the tender stage up to the completion time. My projections were that steel prices would go up by about 10%, because contractors are experienced contractors. They have got the historical data of how material fluctuations occur. So to price for this tender during the tender stage, I assumed that the prices would go up by 10%. So today, current market prices, in 1 year when we complete the project, it will be 10% more. So I put an average rate of 5% more than today's rates into my rates. But now, even the 10% limit is out now. Your work has been handed over and the contractor is instructed to do additional work, and he has to buy it at tender in time prices plus 10% or more at that particular time, not the average 5%. Because he could not buy the steel early and stock for the variation. Because variation, he did not know about the variation until it was instructed. So his steel price is now 10% or more than 10% higher than the tender in time. So there are two different things. The first one, there is no price fluctuation factor. In the 10th, there is a price fluctuation factor. Is that clear?
Hi. Any chance of employer going to omit part of the work? For example, 50 meter in the boundary wall. How we can assess this variation?
Well, the rate is inapplicable. 100 dirhams rate in the BOQ was inapplicable. Therefore, the contractor is entitled to a new rate. And what is the new rate? 50. How do you arrive at that? 10,000 is the amount for the boundary wall item. Actual quantity is 200 from the drawings. Therefore, 10,000 divided by 200 is 50. Now, that's the applicable rate to value variations, omissions, additions, both. 50. If 1 meter is omitted, 50 dirhams would be omitted. If all 200 meters are omitted, 200 multiplied by 50, 10,000 would be omitted. So that whole BOQ item went off, 10,000. There is no injustice to the contractor. Nothing more than that has been taken out. If 50 meters, as you say, is omitted, 50 multiplied by 50 dirhams per meter, 2,500 dirhams would be omitted. So once the rate is established, it applies to any quantity, 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 50 meters.
Hello, sir. Regarding our topic about the inapplicability of the BOQ rates,
Right.
how we can correlate with the preambles of that one? When we are saying that the rates are inapplicable, it means we are devising a new preambles.
Well, if you can, if you wish, yes, if you wish, you can have a new set of preambles, a new set of rates, where all the rates and the preambles became inapplicable. Or you can keep the same preambles and work out a new set of rates to accommodate within the preambles. Both could be done. But what you'll have to understand is that the BOQ rates are dependent on the preambles. Because it is the preamble which says what is included within the rate or what is not included within the rate are stated in the preamble. So if that rate does not become applicable, you want to use a new rate, it would also be governed by the same preamble unless you change the preamble as well. So either you try to accommodate the new rate to cater for the preambles or change both.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening, sir. Recently, 3 months back, I joined a company of infrastructure.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. And I have to submit some new rates for pipelines. I tried to estimate my cost based upon principle 1, considering realistic material prices, current labor, resources, everything. When I found in the BOQ, BOQ rates are comparatively less than the physical estimated cost. But I have to submit new rates. Is there any way how I can get these new rates approved by the engineer? BOQ rates are less than the realistic rates.
There is a complex area called the CRF of the rate. Every rate has got a CRF, which is the contractor's risk factor. Has that whiteboard been removed far away from here, or is it near here? Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, sorry, it is here. But I want a better pen, please. I want a pen. Shall we use the other side? If there is a better pen. Ah, thank you. Every rate has got a contractor's risk factor. I will come to your question in a little while, but I will show you another scenario that would address your question as well, but I will explain how to address your worry in a little while as well. Let's say the floor covering in this particular auditorium is marble. And the contractor has quoted a rate of 1,600 dirhams per square meter for this marble floor covering. We know that the current market prices are about 600 dirhams a square meter. Just 600 dirhams. But the contractor has quoted 1,600 dirhams. And both parties have signed the contract. And therefore, they are bound by the rates in the contract. During the post-contract stage, when the employer and the engineer, they find out this is an exorbitant rate, shall we change the marble, instruct a variation touching or concerning this particular marble floor covering, and then value that floor covering as a new rate altogether? And then we can perhaps say, we can find the market rate for that new marble. Instead of Carrara, say Omani marble. Material so much, labor so much, overheads and profits so much. So it will come near 600, but never near 1,600. Can you do that? Of course not. You are not permitted to do that. Why? Because let's break down a rate. Contractor's 1,600 marble rate was arrived at for Carrara marble. Material is say 400 dirhams a square meter. Labor, laying, pointing, everything, 500 dirhams per square meter. Contractors' overheads and profits, let's say 20% is 100 dirhams, therefore 600 dirhams. Contractors' risk factor, CRF, 1,000 dirhams. 1,600. Now the marble is changed. Can you prepare a new rate altogether? So contractor is asked to use Omani marble instead of Carrara marble. Of course, the existing rate is inapplicable now because there is a cost difference between Omani marble and Carrara marble. Can you jump into a new rate altogether and say, all right, Omani marble is 450 and the labor is 100, therefore 550, and the contractor's overheads and profits 20%, 110. The rate is 660 and pay him that because of the variation and try to escape from the employer's liability to pay at 1,600. We can't do that. Why? Because in FIDIC, the sequence of valuation of variations is fixed. You can't jump one step and go to the other. You have to use the existing rates. It's a must. If they are applicable, that is. We know in this case it is not applicable. Before jumping to new rates, there is another step. If that fails, only you go to new rate. And what is that step? Using the existing rate as the basis. How do you use the existing rate as the basis? You do a build-up of the existing rate, which is this. You use this as the basis, in which the only thing that changed was this. Contractor's risk factor has to be left in. The new rate is 1,660. Why is that? Because it is the contractor's risk factor. Nobody can touch it. Because it could also be negative. Now in this case, it is positive. It is carried forward in a positive manner. If it was negative, let's say instead of 1,600, the contractor's BOQ rate is 400. Why? Because the contractor's risk factor is minus 200. When the marble is changed, in fairness to the employer, that risk factor has to be carried forward. Instead of this, minus 200, and the new rate would be 460. What is goose? What is good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So it works for both parties. Because the existing rate being very high or very low does not matter. It being very high or very low does not matter. Parties are bound by the rates. Once the contract is signed, they are bound by the rates. They cannot be changed. So in your contract, the rates had a contractor's risk factor of a negative amount. When you now today try to calculate actually, you have to put that negative amount into that. You can't ask for an approval for a rate at today's market prices. That negative factor. Why should that be passed to the employer? Why should the employer get that benefit? Because the contractor won the project because he made the mistake in the rate or gave a discount in the rate. If he did not make that mistake, would he have won the project? No. Second lowest tenderer would have won the project. And therefore, that risk factor has to be carried forward. I'm going to show you, I know some of you all are preparing for your foreign university master's degree programs, memberships in professional institutions. JCT type of contracts of UK would be the basis for those. And it's law now in the UK, ladies and gentlemen. This is the famous Alstom combined cycles case, which was in 1999. The rate in the contract for steel sheet piling was twice what it should have been. Twice. At this moment in time in 1999 in the UK, it was 50 pounds a square meter, steel sheet piling. The BOQ had a rate of 99 pounds, almost double. Twice. When a variation was instructed for more sheet piling, the contractor argued that the contract rate should apply. He was asked to do more sheet piling. He said, pay me at 99 at the BOQ rate. The employer countered that a fair valuation should be made for the additional sheet piling. He said, fine, original BOQ amount we'll pay at 99, but this additional work, there should be a fair rate for this. And also there is a comment here. Additional work was carried out under similar conditions to the original work so that nature, circumstances, economies of scale do not come into the picture. When the matter went to courts, how did the judge hold? Held that the work is of similar character and executed under similar conditions to the work priced in the bill of quantities, and therefore the BOQ rate will apply. That is what the judge said. 99 pounds would apply. The fact that the BOQ rates are too high or too low is irrelevant. That is what the judge said. The parties to the contract have agreed in the contract that they will be used to value variations. Once you sign the contract, you are bound by the rates. Ladies and gentlemen, the only time you can escape from that rate and ask for a new rate, you know 12 different ways to do that. Beyond that, nothing yet. There are very complex ones that we discussed during our advanced course and all that, but these 12 are the typical ones. If you can't use any one of those 12 arguments that we discussed here, you are bound by the existing rate. Can the employer or the engineer ask for an explanation from the contractor? What is this 1,000 for? Give an example for this one. Explain to us what this 1,000. They cannot. That is the contractor's risk factor. So the contractor has to say, simply that is where we priced our risk. They will ask, what risks? Well, have you ever come across an item in your bills of quantities at the tender stage, ladies and gentlemen, where the tenderer should price the cost of defects rectifications during the defects liability period? Is there an item anywhere in the BOQ for the tenderer to price? No. So that's one risk. Contractors know that they have to rectify defects when they are working, during the time for completion, and also during the defects liability period. So as experienced contractors, they have got their historical data in the estimation department. They know in our last project, we spent 1% of the contract price on defects rectification or 0.15%. They know that. So they have to price it somewhere, but there is no item. So what do? You spread them over all the existing rates. There you are. That is why every rate should have a contractor's risk factor. Actually, this particular issue came up in an arbitration where I was in the tribunal. And the contractor had a rate for marble of 1,600. The lawyers of the other side was trying to ask for an explanation. Of course, we did not allow that. And during a break, off the record, we asked from the contractor, what is this 1,000 of yours? How can you put such a huge risk factor here? And he explained, off the record, of course. This was in the airport airside building, steel structural building with concrete floors, marble covered. in his previous building of a similar design, identical, he was doing the second building now. He just completed one previously, and the defects liability period was over. He had to replace the marble, 80% of the marble floor covering twice during the defects liability period because they all delaminated due to vibrations of planes landing. So when he bid for the new project, he knew as an experienced contractor that he may have to replace this marble once or twice. So he priced it. That was his explanation. So you can't ask, engineers, employers cannot ask for explanations what these are. That is contractor's risk factor. But sometimes what do we do working with a contractor or a subcontractor when we ask to show the build-up, we are scared. Oh, they are trying to take this 1,000 away from us. So what do? We try to now give a build-up of this. Instead of 400, we try to show this as 900. Everyone knows what the cost of marble in the market is. So don't try to manipulate those. Oh, instead of 100 labor, you try to put 700 to catch up on this 1,000. No, everyone knows what the standard norm is to lay marble. You get caught if you try to load them in. You have nothing to worry. Show what you used in your tender estimating. 400 labor, 100 labor, 400 material, contractor's risk factor 1,000. Nobody can take it away from you. That is yours. And it should be carried forward in the first or the second mode of valuation of variations. Only when you come to the third, you use new rates and the contractor's risk factor is not considered. But as long as you use the existing rate or use the existing rate as the basis, the risk factor has to be used. We are over the time limit, I think 7 o'clock past now. Yeah. Did I take more time for my presentation? I think I was within the 1.5 hours, right?
You are exactly on time.
Sir, if you allow one more question, please.
Yes, please.
So thank you very much for continuously enhancing our knowledge, which goes back to what you mentioned back in the Al-Fateh
2006, right.
So we really pray for your long and healthy life so that we can continue benefiting from your knowledge.
Thank you.
One thing, since you mentioned one of the reason of rates becoming inapplicable whenever a variation result in an extension of the time. So then as you mentioned that with the rates in the prelims like the performance security or the others can be re-rated. Now in that scenario, if we are using that BOQ rates, it means we will be whatever in the rate, whether profit or risk, that will be carried forward in the extension of time. However, for other reasons, the extension of time is only based on actual cost. So does it mean if there is a time extension because of the variation, it should not be based on the actual cost?
Well, you use to calculate the prolongation cost and disruption cost. These are the two elements that would come as delay costs in a delay claim. Disruption cost and prolongation cost. Ideally, they should be the actual cost based on contemporary records. If you go to courts, if you go to arbitration, BOQ rates and prices would not be accepted there as varied rates and prices for prolongation costs. You have to prove yours. But under the contract, in front of the engineer, you are at liberty, the parties are at liberty, if they want to use the preliminaries, bill rates, the time-related rates, as the basis to calculate prolongation costs. That is a parties are at liberty. But if you go to arbitration, if you go to litigation, then when quantum experts get involved, they always go for the actual costs based on contemporary records. All right, I will finish this then by, that's the 10-session sound contract administration course. I think more than 1/2 of this audience has completed it. And that's the advanced course where we look at the 60 areas of concerns that exist in FIDIC 1999. You must never use that document, without addressing these 60 areas. Disputes are unavoidable if you use that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind guidance. Thank you so much. It was so amazing to listen to you and to take guidance from you. Now, a very small announcement that all those who did not register, please register, because upon registering only, you will get the certificate. So, whoever want to have a certificate must register, including myself. I did not register also, by the way. So now it's the time. We are lucky enough. We are having top-notch professionals of our industry. And it's time to listen to our dynamic guests. So I would like to invite Mr. Nicky Dobriano, serving as a director of Omnium International for the 5 branches in the Middle East, Europe, and the UK. The fellow of RICS, one of the few RICS certified BIM manager. The most amazing thing which I liked, his motto, amazing motto for all of us. Don't be the same. What he said? Don't be the same, be better. Please welcome Mr. Nicky Dobriano.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this afternoon. It was lovely. I got to learn some new things, to refresh a few others, and I'm really impressed with PIQS, with your community. I'm also extremely impressed with the PAD. Anything that links to humanity and doing meaningful things is something that is really close to my heart. Coming back to our collaboration between the RICS and the PIQS, I know that some of you are studying to sit your APC soon, and just wanted to mention that we had over the last 2 months, we had hundreds of sessions. I only managed to be part of a few. I've done about 14 assessments and 4 audits on APCs to make sure that the assessment is as objective as possible, and just to minimize any subjectivity or people waking on the wrong side of the bed, which is assessors. Yeah, if any of you need any help, maybe with your assessment, maybe with some suggestions, some tips and tricks, do reach out. Another aspect that is important for the RICS at the moment is digitalization. And again, part of what we do now with continuing professional development, not now, but every day of our lives, would be to get a bit closer to new concepts that come into QSing, whether we like it or not. Sustainability, again, very important. We do have the RICS released a couple of years ago a standard on measuring carbon. Which again I think is very important. You have the quantities as QSs, it's quite easy to apply carbon emissions to that, so you can maybe deliver another sort of service within your companies. But the thing I'm most, that is the closest to my heart is my volunteering not only with the 2 boards, the Middle East and Africa board and the UAE board of RICS, but it's being part of the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion panel. And last quarter, we were talking about mental health, and I spoke to a lot of people this week. I spoke to a few people today. Things are not easy for either of us, but I think we need to stay together. We need to be together to share our stories, because you're not alone. So whenever you have an issue, find someone that is close to you, a mentor, family member, or anyone, and just say, I have a problem. There's nothing wrong with it, and we want the QS and the construction industry to be one that your kids, your relatives' kids would want to step into. So we have a shortage of construction professional, but hopefully in the future we'll get more people into our sector. Thank you very much and look forward to staying in touch with the PIQS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now I would like to invite Mr. Sujit Ganantalake, a member of many professional institutions, serving as a commercial manager for GCL, a team leader with experience in commercial management, contract administration, and cost controlling for building, oil and gas, infrastructure, and landscaping projects. Please welcome Mr. Sujit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Rana, for that wonderful introduction. On behalf of Sri Lankan Quantity Surveys UAE, SLQS UAE, I'm sincerely thankful to Professional Institute of Quantity Surveys, PIQS, a member of PAD, Professional Association, Pakistan Association of in Dubai, for inviting me for this wonderful knowledge sharing session delivered by our QS guru, Professor Sam. When we introduce him as QS guru, I like that because this is the most appropriate way to introduce Mr. or Professor Indrawasna Samaratunga, Dr. Sam. That's how it goes. Thank you very much, PIQS, for that. It has been a wonderful session, a great knowledge sharing. We saw the questions asked, the things got clarified. That's what we need in this industry. We go with doubts, we proceed with doubts, we proceed with assumptions, we get lost. So the clarifications, asking for the questions and getting the answers, finding answers, doing researches, that's the best way to get ourselves cleared. Having said that, I just want to brief a little bit about Sri Lankan Quantity Surveys as well, SLQS UAE, which I represent as the secretary of SLQS UAE. We are an institute or an organization established about 40 years back and is a registered institute in Dubai, in UAE, under the Sri Lankan Professionals Association. We, like PIQS, we do a lot of programs, we do a lot of knowledge sharing sessions, we do CPDs, we do education support to the members, we do RICS and AIQS support APC programs, and we do a lot of sports and cultural programs as well in benefiting the members and their family members. So PIQS and SLQS UAE has also been always been collaborating. They attend our get-togethers, they attend our sports programs as well, time to time. And last year I remember PIQS represented in our inaugural QS Apex, the global conference in quantity surveying as well, that we as SLQS UAE established. So PIQS and SLQS UAE have been friends for so long. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, it's very nice to see you all, and a house full of ladies and gentlemen who are knowledge curious enthusiasts who come and gather knowledge and who will always lead the industry and who will always fulfill the needs of this industry as professional quantity surveys. Thank you very much for that. And I see proud SLQS UAE members here representing AIQS, Mr. Ajanta Premaratna, and co-representing RICS, Mr. Jagat Kirti Surya as well, and some of the SLQS UAE members also. Thank you very much for gathering with PIQS, one of the leading bodies of quantity surveying in the UAE. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting. Have a pleasure night.
Thank you so much, sir, for the great words and particularly the appreciation you made for the audience. That is the most important because without them we are just nothing, and they are the real people who have the potential of growth, who want to improve every day as per the motto of our Mr. Nikki. So I would like to now invite Mr. Ajanta Premaratna, who's serving as a contracts and procurement specialist. Over 40 years of experience with major clients such as DR, Emaar, Dubai Properties. Mr. Ajanta has a remarkable role in expansion of AIQS in the Middle East, which is a big thing. Please welcome Mr. Ajanta Premaratna. Apologies if I'm not taking the names correctly because very difficult names.
Assalamu alaikum. We have to be local to approach the global. So AIQS is a global organization going to the global approach. My association with the Pakistani quantity surveyors going back to 1990s. Yes, people like Mr. Said Mosam, and who was one of the pioneers, senior quantity surveyors of Pakistani community, and Akil, Imran, and other people. Nice to see all of you in this kind of forum. I was looking for a connection, link to make with the Pakistan quantity surveys, to link with the AIQS quite some time. I tried everywhere. Accidentally, I met one gentleman last week, one of the events organized by AIQS. That's what the link, that's why I'm here this evening. Thank you very much. I have seen a lot of work that have been done by the PIQS. It was remarkable. But one thing is missing there, AIQS members. I haven't seen any of the AIQS qualified Pakistani quantity surveys statistics in that presentation done by you. I want to see that one very soon. So next, let's make a connect with the AIQS. That's the purpose of it, whereby we can make the change. All we need is to prepare our community, professional community, serve to the UAE and greater construction industry. That's the whole idea. So AIQS and all other professional institutions like RICS and the SLQS as a community group, what all we are doing is training and giving the more knowledge with the people like Professor Sam, and there are a lot of other people behind. They are sharing their knowledge to get the best out of them to the society, construction industry. And PIQS can go further. There is something called PAC, which is the Pacific Association of Quantity Surveyors. That is a bigger organization where all the quantity surveying association like AIQS, Singaporean quantity surveys, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand, and China, and Sri Lanka, Vietnam, everyone working under that umbrella organization. I would suggest the PIQS to apply membership for that one. We have to be associated with that one. Then only you can expand your presence and global activities as a professional organization. I think that's a correct time to associate with that one. We are always here as AIQS to support and enhance your knowledge and be qualified as professional quantity surveyors in the industry. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, Mr. Ajanta. Thank you so much for being with us for so long. Construction community is proud of you, proud of your services you are providing to the construction community. Now, the PIQS management has elected to award shields to our honorable guests as a gesture of gratitude for their substantial contributions. For that purpose, I would like to invite Mr. Mohammad Faisal Chaudhary to please appear on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Dr. Sam as a gesture of appreciation. Thank you so much, sir, for being here and making our event so beautiful. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Mr. Imtiaz Ashraf to please come on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Nikki Dobriano. I would like to invite Mr. Irfan Zafar to please come on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Harvinder Flora. I would like to kindly ask Mr. Abdul Rahim Bajwa to appear on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Tushar Nagare. I would like to kindly ask Mr. Kaisar Farooq to appear on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Jagat. I would like to request Mr. Fiaz Tabassum to please come on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Sujit Dantakle.
Now it's the time to invite our host, Mr. Rana Zafar, and he will present the shield to Mr. Sujit. Ajanta, sorry. Ajanta. Next.
Now, last but not least, I would request Dr. Sam to please come on the stage and present the shield to Mr. Ubaidullah, who has become MRICS recently. Mr. Ubaidullah. Mr. Abrar Haider, sir, I would like to please stay on the stage. Mr. Abrar Haider is also become MRICS recently, and it's honor for both of our new professionals to receive the shield from the construction group. They are lucky enough. If this is the case, I would also like to go for some other certification so that I can get the shield also. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I would like to invite Mr. Imtiaz Ashraf, the president of the PIQS UAE chapter, for his kind brief about ongoing activities and future plans of the UAE chapter. Mr. Imtiaz Ashraf.
Thank you very much, Rana Zafar. Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. Really nothing to say much because most of the things has been covered by Mr. Muhammad Faisal Chaudhry and Mr. Rana Zafar Iqbal, and especially when we have industry guru, Professor Sam, and our other colleagues from other professional organizations. As Rana Zafar Iqbal said, I need to say something about our current activities and future plans. So a little bit about that. PIQS Knowledge Delivery Committee, which is led by Mr. Rana Zafar Iqbal, who is our host today, is really actively conducting webinars and CPDs in different regions of the Middle East. In KSA, there is a series of webinars going on pre-contract cost management topics. 3 webinars have been done, 9 to go within this year. In UAE, there is also a series of webinars on CISM. 1 webinar is delivered recently and 4 to go within this year. They are also conducting short courses on tools like Excel, PowerPoint, Civil 3D, BIM, Power BI, and also being delivered. These are really very useful for those who want to learn this kind of skill sets. And especially today's CPD event is a fantastic example of their services. In terms of future plans, PIQS is actively working to collaborate with other professional bodies as well as various universities in Pakistan to promote the QS profession. PIQS Knowledge Delivery Committee is actively working to deliver lectures, seminars, CPDs on contracts and commercial management topics in various universities in Pakistan to highlight the importance of this highly rewarded QS profession whenever a senior member of PIQS travel back home. Really, I would like to thank all of you. Without thanking all of our attendees and members, it will be not fair to close this CPD, especially Dr. Sam, our respected teacher and mentor, all of us. We have been learning from him really from so many years. He is enlightening us on the very much needed topics like today. I would also like to thank our friends and colleagues from other professional bodies, Mr. Nikki, Mr. Harvinder, Mr. Tushar, Mr. Jagat, Mr. Sujit, and Mr. Ajanta. Special thanks to PIQS leadership, Mr. Laik Hassan and Mr. Muhammad Faisal Chaudhry, for their unwavering efforts, and to all attendees who traveled from across the UAE. Really, thank you so much. You traveled from long way. So many came from Abu Dhabi, Alan, Fajira, and many other parts of the UAE. Lastly, I would like to extend my huge thank to organizing team of PIQS and PAD, who continuously worked hard and made this wonderful and fantastic event happen. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. And I would like to thank all the audience for your kind presence here from all Emirates of the UAE. We hope that you enjoyed being with us. Hope you liked today's session. Did you like or no? Can you raise your hands? Yeah. Thank you. So we'll inform you for the upcoming events in a timely manner. We will share certificates along with the feedback form Your feedback will help us to improve. Thank you so much that you came, you spare your time. You are the best people, you are the best professional among all who are in UAE, because you are attending sessions, such knowledgeable sessions to improve your knowledge, understanding, so that you can form better in your life, professional life. Thank you so much, really. Amazing.